The God tax. I mean, April 15th 's coming up. Are you ready to pay the God tax? We hear about all kinds of taxes, right? State tax, gas tax, federal tax, but we've never really understood that there's also a God tax. Only thing that's certain in life is death and taxes. And we look at scripture, particularly this scripture, and we say Jesus is telling us to be good citizens, to be good little boys and girls and pay your taxes, right? In this video, I'm going to show you how give unto Caesar does not mean pay your taxes. Now, my name's John. I have to pay my taxes. I've been doing this a long time. I've been a preacher for 35 years. And one of the things that I've learned along the way is what exactly the God tax is, what it means. And I'm taking this more and more seriously, particularly as I move into, the second half of my life, or maybe the last third. And I'm going to be doing this all week long, every day, 5 o'clock. I'm going to be putting out a new Holy Week sermon. So make sure and subscribe and hit the notification button so you can take part in these. Now, what is the God tax? And why am I even talking about it? And you've never heard of it. It's not in scripture. What the hell are you talking about? Are you talking about tithing? No, I'm not talking about tithing. We have to understand what's going on here. And let's set the scene first. Jesus comes into Jerusalem as a king, right? There, Son of David, come rescue us. He's the king. The first thing that this king, this Jesus king, this God king does is he goes into the temple and he starts screwing with the whole economy. The first thing that Jesus gets off his ass and does is confront a monetary system that victimizes and oppresses people. He calls out the temple for charging money to worship. That sealed his death as it is. But then we wind up in this passage and this isn't a discussion of, like, hey bro, what do you think about this tax thing? Well, I don't know. I think it's pretty shitty. Well, theologically, this is not what's going on. This is the Pharisees trying to trap Jesus. They've hated Jesus for a long time. They need to get rid of him. And finally, someone smart enough to come up with the perfect question that no matter how he answers, he's screwed. Jesus, should we pay the taxes? Now, if Jesus says yes, then immediately he loses all of his status as a prophet, all of his status as a Messiah, because he's in collusion with Rome. He's saying submit to Rome's authority. He's saying that, the governments are put over the world so that we have to do what they say. Anyways, Jesus, if he says, yes, pay your taxes, then he's screwed. But if he says, no, don't pay your taxes, he's screwed. Because now he's inciting the Jewish people to rebel against Caesar. He's inciting the Jewish people to not pay their taxes to Rome. What does Rome do to people that are saying don't give Rome the money that they need? They kill them. So if Jesus answers yes, he's screwed. If he answers no, he's screwed. There's no way out of this. They have him pegged. And Jesus just completely flips the script. Yesterday he's flipping tables. Today he's flipping scripts. This was the perfect question. And Jesus gives the answer that nobody ever could have expected. Now, part of that's his strategy, right? He kind of always does that. You ask him a question, a yes or no question. He says, well, let me ask you a question, right? And that's annoying when other people do it, but Jesus can get away with it. Well, should we pay our taxes? That's a good question. Does someone have a coin? Should someone give me a coin? Okay. Now, you can't read too much into this, but he didn't have one himself. And, maybe Judas had one in the coin purse, but he didn't ask for it. He said, does anyone got a coin? And they handed him one. And he holds it up. And right away, the Pharisees went, oh shit. No, we don't know why. Well, why would... Because in a Jewish setting, any sculpture or relief or picture is an idol. And this coin has the picture of Augustus on it. That's an idol. And the inscription on the back of that coin, we have them today. On the back of that coin, it says, Augustus, the Son of God. Okay, now take a look at what's happening here. Jesus holds up an idol that these so-called holy men brought into the temple of God. When he holds that up, he says, oh, you just gave me this? You're walking around God's temple with idols in your pocket. When he says, whose image and whose inscription is on this? He's basically saying, you've got idols in your pocket in the temple of God, and you're coming to talk to me about whether you should give some of it back or not? Right away, the crowd goes, oh man, he's got him. So what is this God tax thing, right? What am I talking about? See, this coin belonged to Rome. This idol belonged to Rome. And every single thing that you paid for was saying, I'm submitting to Rome's economy. We have idols in our pockets too. We have idols in our wallets. Some of them are plastic, some of them are paper. We have idols. And what we do with those that bear the image of other gods, you can argue about that all you want, right? You pay your taxes, don't pay your taxes. I really don't care. I don't think that there's a real clear moral choice about that, you know? But Jesus then says, look, that's Caesar's shit. Give it back. But what he's suggesting is, why are you so worried about a whole economy that has nothing to do with God's economy? Why are you so worried about a whole economic system that is set in opposition not only to the Jewish people, but to God himself? They're asking for their shit back. Give it to them. You probably shouldn't be walking around with it in your pocket anyways. But give to God what belongs to God. Whose image are you bearing? God's image. The inscription on your head is Son of the living God. Daughter of the living God. You're in God's image. He's claimed you. Give back to God what belongs to God. Jesus is saying, you want to talk about Rome tax, you want to talk about federal tax, you want to talk about state tax. I'm talking about God tax. I'm talking about giving the portion that is owed to God. And that portion is you. Now we like to think that, worship is about, going to church with a bunch of people singing off key, which is okay because the band's singing louder than them anyways. And we raise our hand and we sing love songs to Jesus and, you're my boyfriend and this and that. And we call that worship. But Paul tells us something radically different in Romans. In Romans, Paul says that giving yourselves as living sacrifices, that's reasonable. That's a reasonable way of worshiping. Don't tell me a song you sing. Don't tell me how much money you put in the plate. Real worship, according to Jesus and Paul, is offering your body as a sacrifice for the people you love and the people you hate. It's not about what you do on April 15th. It's about who you are every damn day. Jesus calls us to make a decision. Are you going to be part of that kingdom, or are you going to be part of my kingdom? That's the question for you today. What tax are you paying? If there's something in this that kind of really hits you, can you just, like and subscribe and all that? And if there's something in this that really pissed you off, just go in the comments and tell me, whatever. I'll answer. I read all the comments and I answer all the comments. So go ahead and do that. What really matters for you becoming the fullness of who you were meant to be as a man in God's kingdom is paying the God tax. Taking the image of God and using that to bless, love, and care for people. That's the Omega way to use your wallet. Or you can be an alpha bro and buy a Lamborghini, whatever, your choice. Omega men finish what alpha boys only start.